And now, your 5 o'clock news on Channel 14.
Welcome into WCTV's Newscast, live at 5. I'm Michael McKenzie.
And I'm Mia Hinkins.
One of ABC's recent 2020 documentaries featured Waynesburg University graduate Micah Leith, the news director for WOAY. WCTV's Meg Berry sat down with Leith to talk about the experience.
Cochran business model seemed to be built on defrauding their friends and family.
That voice you hear is Waynesburg University alumni Micah Leith, who was recently interviewed by ABC for a 2020 episode, Small Town, Big Con.
And there's no evidence that this defendant was taking insulin to counteract anything.
Although Micah was not yet in town when the crime took place, he and his news station, WOAY, had quite a role in the Ponzi scheme murder trial of West Virginia versus Natalie Cochran.
It's her husband with insulin to the defendant's house that morning.
So I wasn't here when the crime itself went down. It actually happened back in 2019, so 6 years ago now. And I didn't have the benefit of having firsthand experience with the crime itself, but with the trial, once jury selection was over, I saw every minute of every bit of proceeding in the trial itself.
What turned out to be a small town crime turned into a national story that gave WOAY news director Micah Leith an interview with ABC News for the 2020 documentary.
It's, in a lot of ways, it kind of feels like I stumbled into something pretty great. There's nothing that I can do to make, well, I guess there is something I can do to make a big crime like this happen in a small town, but there's nothing that I can legally do to make a big nationwide level of interest crime happen in a small town. So I definitely feel very lucky and fortunate, and it was a good reflection on the work that not just me, but the whole station did to cover this crazy kind of incident all the way up to the verdict in the trial. So it's definitely a testament to a lot of the hard work that we've done here.
And on behalf of Waynesburg University staff and students, congratulations, Micah Leith, on this amazing accomplishment. And if you're interested in watching the documentary, you can find it streaming on Hulu now. I'm Meg Berry reporting for WCTV News.
Over the spring break, one of Waynesburg University's basketball players hit it big at a Cleveland Cavaliers game. Senior PJ Suggs, a native of Twinsburg, Ohio, took place in the Cavs half-court shot challenge. He had one shot from the half-court line, and he drained it to win $10,000. Congratulations, PJ Suggs.
Tomorrow begins Orange Week on campus at Waynesburg University. It begins with a Pi Day swarm at 3:14 tomorrow afternoon in the Beehive, and Wing Night will be held Saturday night at 7 in the Beehive as well. Students are encouraged to pay attention to their MyConnect pages and emails for more Orange Week events next week.
Governor Josh Shapiro has launched a push for his Lightning Plan. The plan is aimed to build more energy projects, lower costs, and create projects for Pennsylvanians. In a statement at an event in York, Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro said, quote, "Pennsylvania has long been a national energy leader from Ben Franklin to today, but right now we're letting other states outcompete us and we're losing out on jobs, new investment, and innovation. That has to change. My energy plan will power Pennsylvania forward by incentivizing the building of next-generation energy projects in the Commonwealth," end quote.
Coming up, a look at a potential government shutdown set to take place this weekend, and inflation cooling down for the first time in multiple months.
Plus, cuts being proposed to the Education Department and a teen charged in the death of their parents. All that and more on the Newscast.
Welcome back to the Newscast, live at 5. The federal government is on track to run out of funding and shut down on Saturday. That means tomorrow is the last day for Congress to pass a spending bill to keep it open. Senate Democrats don't like a continuing resolution from Republicans, and the GOP isn't supporting their alternative. Amy Kiley reports on the standoff.
If you shut it down, you will impact and hurt millions and millions and millions of Americans.
Congress is edging closer to a potential government shutdown tomorrow night, and the blame game is underway.
I hope our Republican colleagues will join us to avoid a shutdown on Friday.
We are on the brink of a government shutdown, which will be entirely of the Democrats making.
A continuing resolution House Republicans passed needs Democratic support to clear the Senate. Majority Leader John Thune is setting up a vote on the plan, but Democrats are holding out for concessions aimed at reining in DOJ's spending cuts. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says his party has enough votes to block the CR, but Democrats are in a tough spot.
We don't co-sign on all of those elements, but for me, it's about we can't ever allow the government to shut down.
On the flip side, Republicans are refusing to support Democrats' stopgap plan. It would fund the government for about another month to allow time for bipartisan negotiations.
Then we could pass the appropriations bills that have come out of the subcommittees on appropriations, bipartisan bills.
The impasse comes at a precarious moment for the country. Experts worry new tariffs will cause inflation. A government shutdown could be another blow to the U.S. economy.
Talking to CEOs throughout the economy, I hear the economy is weakening as we speak.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
When the Irish Prime Minister visits Washington around St. Patrick's Day every year, it's a moment to mark close ties between the two countries. But this visit comes against a strained backdrop. Just hours before, the European Union, which Ireland is a part of, announced plans to hit back on their U.S. metal tariffs that went into effect overnight. Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook reports from the White House.
The Irish Prime Minister was in Washington today for an early St. Patrick's Day celebration, but what is typically a ceremonial visit comes as his country's economy is vulnerable to President Donald Trump's economic plans. The day started with a meeting at the Naval Observatory with Vice President J.D. Vance, later visiting the Capitol for a Friends of Ireland luncheon with lawmakers, and sitting down for a bilateral meeting with Trump at the White House. This visit comes just hours after Trump enacted a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports.
The European Union treats us very badly. They have for years. I saw that. I had it out with them in my first term.
The European Union, which Ireland is a part of, responded to Trump's tariffs with countermeasure tariffs on $28 billion worth of American goods. In a statement, the EU called Trump's tariffs unjustified and added that their counter tariffs were, quote, swift and proportionate.
Will you respond to their retaliation?
Oh, of course I'm going to respond.
When it comes to all the back and forth on the tariff conversation so far, Trump described it as flexibility, not inconsistency. But he said that there would be little flexibility when it comes to the April 2nd reciprocal tariffs he's been teasing. He has described those as if they charge us, we charge them. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
For the first time in 4 months, inflation in the U.S. cooled off. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Consumer Price Index was 2.8% for the year-long period that ended in February. That's down from the 3% yearly rate reported in January. Economists say lower gas and grocery prices were major factors that helped bring down inflation. Economists also say lowering energy costs has a huge help in lowering the rate of inflation.
Hundreds of employees of the U.S. Education Department will be out of a job soon. It could be the first step towards eliminating the agency altogether, a move previously proposed by President Donald Trump. Reporter Michael Yoshida breaks down who the cuts will impact.
The U.S. Department of Education cutting nearly 50% of its workforce. The layoffs, which started Tuesday evening, combined with those who already took voluntary so-called buyouts, will cut the department's headcount to nearly 2,200 employees. Education Secretary Linda McMahon saying this on Fox News when asked about the cuts.
That was the president's mandate, his directive to me, clearly is to shut down the Department of Education.
The move drawing swift criticism from Democrats.
That's bad news for any American who cares about education for disabled children, about higher education, about a skilled workforce.
Fully eliminating the department would require Congress to act.
Oftentimes what's concocted in Washington, D.C. when it goes out to Montana doesn't exactly fit. So in a lot of cases, the states are better for administering the programs.
The Department of Education was created in 1979 to strengthen the federal commitment to ensuring access to equal education opportunities for every individual. The department has been responsible for things such as federal civil rights enforcement, student loans, and oversight of student disability rights. Senior officials say job cuts will not impact federal student aid, quote, in any way, shape, or form. Still, experts question whether the agency's duties can effectively be carried out with a diminished or even eliminated department.
They're not just federal budget line items. These impact real humans here.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida reporting.
A teenager charged in the death of his parents in February appeared in a Wisconsin courtroom on Wednesday. 17-year-old Nikita Kassup was extradited from Kansas to Wisconsin after police say he left the state after their deaths. The teen was given a $250,000 bond for allegedly stealing his parents' car and gun. Prosecutors say more charges are coming. Jenna Wells reports.
Certainly, the defendant will be charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide in the very near future. I'm just waiting for a couple warrants to come back.
Nikita Kassup made his first appearance at the Waukesha County Courthouse Wednesday. Prosecutors say he left the state more than a week after his mother and stepfather died in their Waukesha home.
We do believe that the 2 victims were killed on February 11th. The defendant continued to live in that residence with the 2 bodies in the house. He then fled.
Kassup's stepfather was shot in the head and his mother was shot in the neck and torso. Attorney Leslie Bosey says Kassup took their car, gun, and $14,000 in cash. Before he was arrested in Kansas, he made a dozen transactions through a Bitcoin machine and was talking with people overseas.
The defendant was communicating via an app in either Russian or Romanian. We're not sure. The FBI is helping us to translate those communications.
Wednesday's hearing was for charges of operating a vehicle without consent and theft of movable property. The judge said Kassup's behavior warrants a $250,000 bond.
It appears that this individual was trying to flee the jurisdiction of not only this state, but also this country. These things make me believe he is a tremendous flight risk.
Prosecutors say additional charges will be filed related to the deaths of Kassup's mother and stepfather at a preliminary hearing on March 24th.
Pete Buttigieg is reportedly not interested in running for Michigan's open Senate seat, according to 2 sources. When Democratic Senator Gary Peters announced his upcoming retirement earlier this year, a Buttigieg advisor said the former transportation secretary was considering a run. But now some analysts say Buttigieg's decision not to run could signal he is considering a potential presidential bid in 2026. Buttigieg previously said he wasn't interested in campaigning for governor of Michigan. Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer is unable to run again due to term limits.
That will do it for national news. Coming up next is Kat Taylor with business and entertainment. But first, we step outside with Joe Cirillo for a quick look at the weather.
We've had this great outlook so far throughout the entirety of the day. The sun is shining. The weather is warmer. Hopefully, we're going to see that going into the weekend and then also throughout the week here on WCTV's Newscast Live at 5.
Welcome back to the Newscast. I'm Kat Taylor with your business and entertainment update. Hollywood is rolling out several new streaming movies this week. Rick Damigella has a preview.
Nothing can stop me now. I hope that shatterproof glass can withstand the abuse.
Only a duck and 2 pigs can save the world from an alien invasion in The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie.
Situation is under control. There's no way we could screw this up.
Eric Bauza does double duty in the film.
Well, you see, I'm glad you asked this question, Rick. It's a question that I've been dying to talk about. Hey, listen, Daffy, stop hogging the interview. I was a part of this movie too. Hi.
It's a little, when they're literally resting on your shoulders here, it's kind of easy to
kind of refer to each of the characters. But, you know, I can't continue this interview without crediting and citing, of course, the great Mel Blanc, who was the original voice behind not just these voices, but I like to call them these personalities.
It's a character that has been around since the 1940s, but with the deft hand of the Warner Brothers animation team, we have brought her into the 21st century. So her character is more full, for lack of a better word, more human, more emotional, and a heck of a lot smarter.
You have to act fast, and there's only one person that can do the job. Daffy Duck. Daffy?
Oh no, not the duck! In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Comedian Nikki Glazer has already been booked to return as host of next year's Golden Globes. In January, Glazer made history as the first woman to solo host the award show. Her debut got positive reviews, especially for her playful roasting of celebrities. Glazer said hosting was the most fun she's ever had in her career. The comedian is currently on her Alive and Unwell tour, stand-up tour, which runs most of the year. You can catch her hosting the Golden Globes in January of 2026. It's the first time in 4 months that inflation has slowed, but many economists warn the news could be short-lived. In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan explains what these numbers all mean for your wallet.
Inflation fell for the first time in months, according to a federal report released Wednesday. The Consumer Price Index measures price changes for a variety of goods and services.
This month was really the first progress we'd seen toward moving inflation down closer to that 2%.
Greg McBride with Bankrate says the Federal Reserve wants to see inflation closer to 2% before dropping interest rates. And according to this latest report, inflation is at 2.8% for 12 months ending in February. But McBride warns this good news could be short-lived.
With tariffs looming, that adds an upside risk to inflation in the months ahead.
President Donald Trump announced tariffs on imports from 3 of America's largest trade partners, China, Canada, and Mexico, as well as 25% taxes on all steel and aluminum imports. And Wednesday, Canada announcing retaliatory tariffs of 25% on billions of dollars worth of American goods.
It's not just the imported items that are susceptible to price increases. Domestic producers, if they're facing less price competition from foreign competitors, they're likely to boost their prices too.
All of this comes as the cost of living is already high for many Americans. And this latest report shows shelter prices, which measures housing costs, went up 0.3% last month.
The pressure on household budgets has been really unrelenting.
Overall, food prices went up 0.2%. Egg prices shot up 10.4% in February, the biggest jump. Prices also up for beef and meats, poultry, fish, as well as cereal and bakery products. The good news is gas prices dipped 1% last month. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Spotify is giving more detail into what it says are generous payouts to those in the music industry. Earlier this year, the world's largest paid music subscription service revealed it paid out more than $10 billion to the industry in 2024. Now it's out with its annual Loud and Clear Music Economics report, giving specifics into how it supports artists in the music industry. Spotify says the rights holders to nearly 1,500 artists earn more than $1 million in royalties through its platform alone. The service says music publishing rights holders drew $4.5 billion over the last 2 years, and Spotify says that payout hit a new high last year. Spotify says the music streaming service industry as a whole has more than 500 million paying subscribers. Time for more movie news. Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
These go to 11 and beyond. The first teaser trailer is out for Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer return in the comic rockumentary sequel in theaters in September.
I think there was just this mutual trust between us. And
Sadie Sink is joining the Spider-Verse. The actress best known for Stranger Things and The Whale is set to appear in the 4th Spider-Man movie. No word what role she'll play in the film, which is due in theaters July 31st, 2026.
I'm just blessed. I'm lucky.
Tiger Woods is getting the biopic treatment. Amazon MGM is developing a movie based on Kevin Cook's book, The Tiger Slam, the inside story of the greatest golf ever played. It's expected to focus on how the iconic golfer won 4 consecutive major championships, a feat now known as the Tiger Slam. Teeing it up in Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
That will do it for your business and entertainment update. I'm Kat Taylor. When we return on the newscast, Anthony DeFilippo has your sports.
Gotcha.
What are you doing? We're on in 30 seconds.
Fading up to Tyler and Mia in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Mia Hinkins.
And I'm Tyler Aaron, and welcome
to Jacket Sports Weekly.
Welcome back to the newscast, live at 5. I'm Anthony DeFilippo with your sports. Spring sports are really picking up. Both the baseball and softball teams just returned from traveling south. First, softball went 8-1 on its trip to Myrtle Beach. Autumn Stemple and Sydney Wilson were their usual dominant selves throughout the week. Wilson broke Waynesburg's strikeout record, and Stemple has an ERA under 1 and was ranked as one of the best pitchers of the week nationally in Division III. They will play at Carlo Monday night in the second-to-last doubleheader before PAC play. The baseball team struggled in its trip to Fort Pierce, Florida. The record was 2-6, but there's more there than meets the eye. The last 2 teams they played, Elizabethtown and Gettysburg, received votes for the National Top 25 Division III Baseball Programs poll. Also, Seth Bergdahl was named to the Division III Baseball.com Team of the Week after hitting .800 in Florida. The next games for them are tomorrow against Muskingum, who also received votes in the aforementioned poll. On Saturday, men's tennis begins their season against St. Vincent on the road at 3 p.m. They finished 8th out of 9 in the preseason poll. As far as Greene County baseball and softball are concerned, stay tuned for the next week when all teams begin play. That includes Waynesburg Central's trip to Florida. Now pivoting to pro sports in Pittsburgh, the Penguins are still the only team in action, at least regular season-wise. But that doesn't mean the other teams aren't busy in their own rights. The Penguins have won their last 2 games, but still sit 5 games under 500 and well out of a playoff spot. They will take on the St. Louis Blues tonight at 7. The Steelers have their quarterback. This morning, they brought back a familiar face in Mason Rudolph, signing him to a 2-year, $8 million deal. This comes after the trade and sign of DK Metcalf. And the question still lingers, will the Steelers add more at the position? Aaron Rodgers is still available, people. And lastly, the Pirates have 2 weeks from today until opening day against Miami. First pitch on March 27th will be at 4:10 p.m. That's all for sports. I'm Anthony DeFilippo. Joe Cirillo has your weather next on the newscast, live at 5.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Cirillo here with your weather update in Waynesburg. Looking to the evening, enjoy the sunset at 7:26 this evening with some wonderful conditions of 75 high and 56 low, with it being the second highest high of the week. We continue to have some great weather. Looking into the weekend, one of the best since the late fall of 2024 is looking to reach 79, with it being quite sunny out with a few clouds. Then for Saturday, going to a bit of a lower temperatures, but still looking like an amazing day outside. For me, I want to try and find some time out on the golf course. If not, tune into the Players Tournament this weekend. Some showers are scattered throughout the evening on that day as well. But looking into the Sunday, heavy chances of rain with 83% chance beginning at 2 to about 3 p.m. Lower temperatures are back on Sunday in those evenings after those storms at 35 degrees. And going into the remainder of the week, it begins in the cool with a high of 50 on Monday and a low of 33, still having that sun, just not the temperatures we would want. Tuesday and Wednesday, though, we find the warmth again with temperatures in the 70s. Hopefully this weather is here to stay and not going away anytime soon, especially in time for the Masters Tournament coming up, though. But we do need some March Madness first, which this weather has been a little bit crazy for. That's going to be your 7-day forecast coming into Waynesburg, sending it over to the desk of M&M.
That will do it for the Newscast Live at 5. For everyone behind the scenes and in front of the camera, thank you for watching.
Stay tuned on our WCTV YouTube page and social media platforms for more Waynesburg content.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.